You never know until you know. But who knows that some potatoes is better than no potatoes. And now we have had, I think, a total of 3 rain showers, a power glitch, and everything else. And this is so outside of my personality. That's what it looks like. Because technically, I don't have enough time, okay? Most people think that planting potatoes in August, that you are way too late. But I have news for you. You can still do a fall round of potatoes. And in this video, I'm going to show you what's the difference between planting in the fall versus in the spring. I'm going to walk you through me planting my fall potatoes. And if I get this right, I may just have me another harvest of potatoes right before the fall. So if you're brand new here, thank you so much for stopping by. My name is Barbara. I live in Tennessee and I am in Zone 7B. And so as I talk through this video, I will talk through my zone specifically, but I will also address other zones and you can figure out if you too can plant some fall potatoes. Now, if you are new here, thank you so much for stopping by and landing on my channel. I would love for you to say hello to me in the comments and let me know what city, state, or country you're coming in from so I can say hello back to you and welcome you to my channel. You just landed on a Gardener's Journey homestead. Well, basically, I take you through my journey as a gardener and as a homesteader. I've been gardening now for the last 6 years. And what I try to do on my channel is to just take you through my ups, my downs, my wins, my losses as I'm learning real time and give you a place that feels safe, a place that you feel inspired and encouraged to grow food for your family. So if you want to be encouraged, this is the place for you. If you want to feel safe and like no question is a dumb question, this is the place for you. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. What you waiting on? Go ahead and be a part of this community. And for those that have been part of the community, thank you so much for continuing to show up each and every time. Now, also in this video, I'm going to give you a bee update as well. I have been meaning to do that. So if you are interested in the bees, definitely hang out until the end and I will give you an update on how the bees are doing. Now, let's go ahead and talk about fall potatoes. I'm going to first walk you through where I got my potatoes from, what varieties I'm doing, and my methodology between fall potato planting and spring potato planting. So for this particular fall planting, I ordered 6.5 pounds of potatoes. It varies. I usually order anywhere between 5 to 7 pounds of potatoes. If you were here back in the beginning of the summer, we harvested 50 pounds of potatoes. I'll link that video right here in case you want to see it. And then also I've done an extensive video on being able to plant potatoes successfully. I will link that video up here as well. So I have plenty of information if you're just new to growing potatoes in general, or if you want to see what our harvest was back at our spring planting. So we planted potatoes in the spring in March and we harvested those in June. And so we do that every single year. But for the past 3 years, or this is going to be my 3rd year, for the past 2 years, I have been experimenting with fall potato planting to see if I could do it. And I have been successful. Now, I'll give you the caveat up front that the fall potatoes are not as big as the ones in the spring, but yet you still have potatoes, which means it's edible and you have more food for your family. Now, I ordered 6.5 pounds. I'm going to walk you through the varieties. I get my potatoes from Wood Prairie Family Farm. It's an organic seed certified potato. Now, a lot of you may be going to the store and putting potatoes, in the ground in your buckets and planting those. I will let you know, if you don't know, that when you buy store-bought potatoes, they are often sprayed with something that prevents them from sprouting or prevents them. And they do that so that they can store longer in the store. And so doing potatoes from the store, you may get potatoes, but if you've ever tried that and it didn't work, it's not you, it's the potato. And so I really recommend that if you're going to plant potatoes, get an organic seed certified potato from a potato company. And again, you can get those maybe at your local store. Tractor Supply, they may have organic. I know at mine they don't have organic, but I use Wood Prairie Family Farm is where I get mine, and you can certainly go and check them out. And they ship potatoes all throughout. Now, let's talk about the difference between fall potato planting and spring potato planting. So that way you can determine whether or not you want to try fall potatoes. Now, the biggest difference is that your timing, right? So when it comes to fall potato planting, timing is even more key because we are up against the clock. We are racing, y'all. We are in a race to get these potatoes in the ground and to have some harvest before the first frost. Now, at the time of this video, I'm in zone 7 and there are 77 days until my first frost, okay? So I am literally, y'all, right at the cusp. Ideally, I would have planted these a week and a half ago, but life was lifing and that did not happen. And so they're getting planted this week. I have done it the first week of August before. And again, you're racing against the clock. So for those that are in zones 7 and above, again, you look and see when your frost date is and see if you have enough time to get them done. If you're in a zone below me, if you are going to do a fall potato planting, at the time of this video, you got to get on it, right? And then you're going to have to choose varieties that are fast maturing and that grow a lot quicker, okay? So I have 4 varieties that I'm doing today, and I have a mix because I'm experimenting for ones that I know is going to work, and there are some other ones that I'm like, okay, I'm pushing the limit, okay? So we'll talk through that, but that's the number one difference between planting potatoes in the spring versus in the fall. In the fall, you are racing up against the clock. Also, there is a temperature shift, right? In the spring, when you're planting potatoes in March, the weather is cool. It's not hot. Right now, y'all, it's like 85 degrees, 85 to 90 degrees this week in my area. Not great or ideal for potatoes, but we got to get them in the ground. And so you are fighting against heat and humidity and things like that. So you got to make sure that you stay on top of your moisture. You got to make sure that you stay on top of your mulching and things like that. So that's the second thing that you're competing with between planting in the spring and in the fall. But the biggest one is time. The second one is temperature, right? And so basically what we're going up against is that we're going to look at our first frost date because before the frost comes, we want the potatoes out. And so for me, I'm usually doing that the day before the frost is supposed to hit. I'm going to give it as much time as possible. Now in zone 7, my first frost date is October the 19th. That just simply means that it is likely I can have frost on October the 19th, but it may come a week later or it may come 2 weeks later. If it comes 2 weeks later, that's even better, right? That is even better. But if you don't know your frost date, then just Google and say, what is my frost date for this zip code? And it will give it to you, or if you know your growing zone, okay? So let's go ahead and head over to the first bed where we're gonna plant. We'll talk through the varieties. I'm gonna explain to you why I'm planting what where. Because there is a method to the madness. So let's go over to the other bed and let's get our potatoes ready to plant. First place we're going to plant our potatoes for the first one is in this elevated raised garden bed from Vago Garden. Y'all know that I love Vago Garden. I am an affiliate for Vago, but I was already buying from them before I became an affiliate. So you know I love it. But if you are interested in any Vago Garden products, there is a link and also discount codes in the description box. They're always there on every single video, depending on what's going on. There's 2 or 3 different discount codes that you can use if you're interested in any Vago Garden products. Also, I have my gloves here. We sell these gloves on our website site. These are the Arm Saver gloves, and this is going to come in handy because in one of the beds, my husband told me I may have some ants in a bed. So we're going to protect ourselves with these because they kind of come up here, but they come in this print in a large, and then you guys have seen the other ones that I wear from time to time. They also come in that print as well, and we have those in small and medium. We only have a few left in each size. So if you're interested in these Arm Saver gloves, they are absolutely amazing. You can go check them out in our website. Also, I have the potatoes we're going to do for this bed, and then I have some potato fertilizer. This is from Wood Prairie Family Farm. And so I used this in the spring for the first time and it worked really, really well. So we're going to do it again. It is a 4-2-6, which means it's 4% nitrogen, 2% phosphorus, and 6% potassium. Now, one of the things when it comes to potatoes, people sometimes will give it too much nitrogen because they're trying to get the leafy growth and get it to grow. But remember, potatoes are growing underground. And so it needs actually more phosphorus and potassium than it does nitrogen. Nitrogen is not the key element, okay? So in the first bed, my husband has already put compost in this bed to amend it. I'm gonna dig a couple of burrows or trenches to put the potato fertilizer in. And then in this bed, we're gonna plant our Yukon Gold. Now, this is a picture of what it looks like. So for Yukon Gold, the reason why I am doing this one in this bed and also doing it first, is because Yukon Gold takes 65 to 90 days. So when I talk about that I have 77 days left until my first frost, I am right in line to have potatoes that are Yukon Gold. So again, when I say choosing a variety that matches your timing, your zone, and how much time you have left is going to be key. So 65 to 90 days, I have 77 days left, so I'm right there. Now, I may not make it to 90 days, and so what that means is my potatoes are going to be smaller, but I will still have potatoes, okay? Some people call them new potatoes. When I was growing up, that's what my mom used to call them, like new potatoes. They're like little baby potatoes. They're just smaller than the regular potatoes. But who knows that some potatoes is better than no potatoes? Amen. Amen and amen. So I'm going to get my gloves on. You guys have seen me do this before, but I will give you a quick demonstration. And when I tell you, y'all, the sun is brightly shining, this sun is brightly shining. So we are going to make quick work of this. The first thing I'm going to do is just make a trench, and I'm going to put the fertilizer in the trench. I'm going to put the potatoes on top of the fertilizer in the trench, and then we're going to cover it back up with soil and water it in. Now, when it comes to potatoes, you want them at least 12 inches apart with rows. And so for me, I'm only going to probably do 2 rows. I'm not going to, this bed is I think this is a 2x8 bed, if I'm not mistaken. A 2x8 or either a 2x6. No, it's a 2x8. So we're only going to do 2 rows, so that way they have space to grow. And I'm going to do them along the edges, okay? So that way they have space in between of a good 12 inches or so. Also, the bees are out this morning in full effect. Full effect. If you're wondering about the weather, yes, it's been raining, which is why I haven't been able to get this done.
So for the first few years of gardening, I never even had a clue that you could do fall potatoes. I actually saw it on another YouTuber's page that was in my zone, and I was like, what?
This afternoon, so that's why I'm trying to get it done.
Because everything that I knew, it had to be in the spring when the temperatures were a little bit cooler, and then you're harvesting them before the heat of the summer really kicks in, when you put them in the ground in March and then harvest them in June. And so when I tried it 2 years ago, I was a little skeptical, and I think the first year when I did it, I was probably a little bit later than this. I think it was like mid-August. And I still had potatoes, but they were small and it wasn't very many. But at the same time, I was still kind of new of growing potatoes and being good at it. I will tell you that this spring, my 50-pound harvest is the most potatoes I've harvested to date. And so I'm just now getting the hang of it for sure. So in this bed, I am, like I said, I've already dug my trenches. I'm about to put this potato fertilizer down. It's important that you fertilize and amend your beds. Potatoes, and just like any other root crop, they love really loose, well-draining soil. The soil in this bed is amazing. So we got the fertilizer down. And then now I'm going to take my potatoes and actually put those in the ground about 12 inches apart. Now, if you need to tighten up your spacing and make them closer together, just know that you're going to have smaller potatoes. But 12 inches apart within the row, and between the rows, if ideally 2 to 3 feet would be ideal. But in my case, it's going to be about 2 feet, and that's going to be all we're going to be able to work with.
So the other thing that I wanted to mention is that when you're ordering your potatoes, if you're ordering from the place that I normally order from, they come and usually they have not sprouted. They're just smooth. And so usually I am ordering my potatoes at least a couple of weeks before I want to plant them. And I put them in my root cellar and allow them to sprout or to form eyes. And so I'm already 2 weeks ahead of the game. So that's going to help me as well when it comes to my timing and what I'm trying to accomplish. And so what I do, you can see that they have eyes on them like that. And so when it's time to plant, I'm planting. You can kind of see how big this is. I mean, it's a very small, I would say probably the size of a 1.25 maybe. And so I cut these in half or along the eyes, and I let them to sit out on my counter or in a place for about 24 to 48 hours so that they can scab over. What that does is it helps to prevent or to minimize rot or disease, because you don't want to put like a raw potato in your soil. That may increase the chance for fungal disease and things like that. So when I have time, and usually I try to be on top of it. I'll have these shipped to me 2 weeks before I want to plant. I'll let them sprout and go ahead and get eyes, and then I'll cut them in half and let them scab over. So that is what they look like. I'm gonna put this in the ground, the eye side up, so that way it can sprout. And usually you'll start to see leaves within about 14 days. Just keep it water and keep it moist. And within 14 days, you'll start to see little leaves and stuff starting to form. Okay, so now we're down at the next raised bed. And let me also say this, is that I'm choosing to grow my potatoes in raised beds because that's what I have. There are so many methods to grow potatoes. You can grow them in the ground, which I've never done. You can also grow them in grow bags. You can grow them in trash cans. You can grow them in laundry baskets. Like, the options are endless, 5-gallon buckets. And so if you don't have a raised bed and you want to try your hand at growing some potatoes, maybe you just want to get 1 pound and you want to just try to see if you can do it because you've never done it in the fall. I highly recommend that. If you have a 5-gallon bucket, get to fill it up with soil and put your potatoes in there. But this raised bed, this is another Vigo raised bed. It's not elevated, but it is, I want to say it is a 2x8, if I'm not mistaken. So the same size. And so the next potato we're going to do is red port. So this one is 65 to 80 days. So again, y'all, I've chosen varieties that I know for a fact that I will have time to do. So 65 to 80, I got 77 days left. I'm to the good, right? Even if they're small, red new potatoes. And so I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did in the other bed. I'm going to dig a trench. I'm going to put the potato fertilizer in, and then we're going to drop the potatoes. I had about 5 or 6 Yukon Gold potatoes left. If I have space, I'll put them over here because for some reason this bed, oh, this is not a 2x8. I think this is a 4x8. So if I have space, I'll throw some more, the remainder of the Yukon Gold in here as well. But again, variety is key, especially when it comes to the fall. So let me get these red ports in the ground, and then I'm going to tell you about the other 2 varieties that I chose that are going to be a little bit more experimental.
I've done every year that I've done potatoes. And so it's a tried and true. I know that it grows well in my area. The red port I've done several times as well. I actually did it in the spring. It performed well. I've always done like a red potato and then a Yukon Gold. And then I started adding in russet potatoes into the mix. I think last year when I saw another YouTuber do it, and that turned out really, really well. In the spring, we had some big russet potatoes. But for this particular bed, like I said, this is a 4x8. I think from Vigo Garden. And so we're going to get these in the ground. I'm still going to do just 2 rows, even though it is 4 feet across instead of 2. They'll just give me more space, and more space is just going to allow for bigger potatoes. But I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to dig a trench or a burrow, put the potato fertilizer in there, and then place the potatoes about 12 inches apart, cover it up with soil, and then I will water it in. Now, one of the things when it comes to potatoes is that you want to make sure that it always stays covered, and so that the potato is not exposed to the sun or it'll turn green. And so usually once I see germination and I see leaves is when I go ahead and mulch.
Okay guys, so now we're in the backyard, and in between when you saw me planting down there and now we have had, I think, a total of 3 rain showers, a power glitch, and everything else. Y'all, just to get you this content, really just get my potatoes in the ground. It has been a challenge, but you know what? We press on. That's what we do as gardeners. We press on. And so I'm in the back of my house in between yet another rain shower. The sun has come out in full force, but it was literally dark and gray a few minutes ago, and it's supposed to get rained again. So let me just quit yapping and let me get back to the business. So we've already done our Yukon Gold and we've done our red port. Now I have two other varieties that I'm going to plant, and these are experimental. One is experimental in the fact that I've never done it before, but also these two are experimental because technically I don't have enough time, okay? And so I wanted to do these, one, because I have them, and then two, I love an experiment, right? And so what happens is the next two that I'm going to do, I'm doing one that is brand new to me that I've never done before, which is called Huckleberry Gold. And this is so outside of my personality. That's what it looks like because I'm just usually like the things that I know. And so what I did was I only bought a half a pound of this. It's called Huckleberry Gold. You can see it's a deep, beautiful purple potato, but it has like a buttery center. If you've done this potato before, let me know. I would love to hear your comments and if you like this potato. So again, let's talk about my methodology. I bought 6.5 pounds of potatoes. For the red port, 2.5 pounds. For the Yukon Gold, 2.5 pounds, because those are tried and true. I've done them before. I know that they work and they fit within the time window that I have. So that's 5 pounds of the 6.5 pounds of potatoes that I bought. Now, I bought a half a pound of the Huckleberry Gold because I wanted to try it, okay? So let's take a look and see. Basically, it looks the same, except it just has like a purple top. So we're going to put this and try these in a raised bed out here. And then I'm also going to venture out and try to do some potatoes in GreenStalks for the first time, thanks to my girl Asia over at Yellow Door Urban Homestead. And let me just do a plug right now. If you don't know Asia at Yellow Door Urban Homestead, make sure that you go and follow her channel. She's in the same zone as me in 7B, but she's in the state of Virginia. I'm in the state of Tennessee, and she grows in her backyard in many different ways. Grow bags, green stalks, greenhouses, in the ground, all the things. And so if you're thinking I can't grow in my backyard, go watch Asia. She'll show you exactly how it is done. But Asia grows potatoes in her green stalk, and I'm like, say what? What? You can do that? Hey, about to try it. About to try it. Now again, fall is a little bit of a different time, and I'm doing varieties that take a little bit longer. But you know what? You never know until you try. But my methodology is this. The things that I know are tried and true, I spent the most amount of money on and the most amount of time and effort. When I'm going to experiment, I do a smaller slice, okay? That is how you do it. At least that's how I do it, okay? So let's talk about Huckleberry Gold. Huckleberry Gold, the maturity date, because I wrote it down on my paper, is 80 to 100 days. So y'all, I'm right. I got 77 days left. It says 80. So already they're going to be small. We already know that. 100 days, probably don't have. So they're going to be small anyway. But you know what? I only bought a half a pound. Let's just do it. So I'm going to put them in a raised bed out here, which I've never done these kind of potatoes out here in my backyard, but I have a little bit of an open space to put a few in. So let's go over to the raised bed and let's plop them over. Oh, another thing, y'all, that I forgot to tell you, another reason why this video has been a challenge is because also when I was out earlier, my camera overheated because it's like 85 degrees. But when I say the sun is brightly shining, the sun is definitely brightly shining. So now I'm on a different camera and it's still hot out here. So that's why I'm moving fast. One, to beat the rain, but then also I know that my camera is not going to last very, very long. So that's why I'm moving quickly. Now we just had a rain, so this ground is already moist. So not a problem. I will come back in and do the potato fertilizer because I just left it in the house. But for now, let's just get these potatoes in the ground. This is a bed outside in my backyard. So I'm going to hopefully train them to grow out going this way. On this trellis, I have some beans. I'm going to plant some more beans right around here. We know that beans and potatoes, or beans, can be nitrogen fixers, which will be great. So let me just keep digging this trench and we'll see what happens. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that's perfect because it's just half a pound. So I'll space these all apart. I got plenty of space. And then I am going to go in and grab my potato fertilizer, put the potato fertilizer here, cover it up, and then, like I said, the ground is already moist, but we'll make sure that it gets water in. The drip comes on here in the morning, so it should be good to go. But we have another round of potatoes right here. So this is the experiment, new variety, new place, in a raised bed with some other stuff. So we're going to see how it goes. Okay, so what I ended up doing is I ended up taking 2 huckleberries out because I had ginger on one end and turmeric on the other end, and so I wanted to give it space for those room for the roots to grow, and so I didn't want to crowd it. So I'll put these in my GreenStalk. So let's figure out a place where we can put the other potatoes. But first, let me tell you about the 4th and final variety. The 4th variety I'm doing is caribou russet. I did this in the spring. It turned out well. It's experimental because technically I don't have enough time. So caribou russet, let me look at my paper. It says 105 105 days. Y'all, I'm way out of bounds. Way out of bounds. What am I doing? What am I doing? We're gonna put them in the ground. That's what we're gonna do. I am way out of bounds because you know what? You never know until you know. So that's what we're gonna do. And I'm gonna try these in my GreenStalk. Now, if it doesn't work in my GreenStalk, that's okay, because I already know that I'm putting something in here that I don't have enough time for, right? But I think I can get small russet potatoes, but let's just see. So we have we have a pound of russets to put in the GreenStalks. We have 2 huckleberry left over, and we got a handful of red port and all of that. Ideally, if I had another raised bed ready, I could throw those in there, but right now I don't have another raised bed ready, so that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna start with the red port, the Yukon Gold, and all of that, because the red port and Yukon Gold, I know that I have enough time, so let's try that in the GreenStalk. And then we have space in GreenStalks, then we'll put the other potatoes in there. So I'm definitely gonna use like an original GreenStalk for the potatoes because I think we need the space. The original is the 10-inch depth versus the leaf is like the 7-inch depth. So I got 4 red ports. I'm gonna do these first. I'm gonna put those in there. I'm gonna go back in and put some fertilizer and then cover it up with soil to the top. And we're gonna see what happens. We're gonna see what happens. So I encourage you, always experiment in your garden. Don't just take what somebody told you, but you experiment so that you know for yourself, okay? But when you experiment, don't spend all your money and all your time and all your space on something that you don't know if it's gonna work. Spend a little bit of your money, a little bit of your time, and a little bit of your space, okay? So let me turn the camera around. I'll show you what this looks like. This is red port. So you can see, again, I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I kind of do, but I don't. I've never done the GreenStalk, so we put it in there. That's what we're gonna do.
So I continue filling up this GreenStalk. So the first one we did were the 4 red port. Now I'm doing the Yukon Gold. And so because I know these are tried and true, then this is the best case scenario for me to test whether or not I can grow them in a GreenStalk. Meaning if I were to do the other ones, I already technically don't have enough time. So if they didn't grow well, I wouldn't want to count that to the GreenStalk. I would just count it on, hey, Barbara, you didn't have enough time. But we're going to do the red port and Yukon Gold first. So I get them in there, same exact way, put potato fertilizer in there, cover it up with some new soil. I will water it in because this soil on the top is not as moist because I'm adding it in. So I'll make sure that I water it in, and then we'll have this GreenStalk pretty much mostly red port and Yukon Gold. There's only a few spots left that already have flowers in it. I'm going to keep
Okay, so we're about 90% done. Let me give you a bee update for those that wanted to know about how the bees are doing. Let me give you a quick update on the bee situation, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what we got done and talk through it. Okay, guys, now let me give you a bee update. Unfortunately, y'all, we have lost our bees. It was heartbreaking. Let me just tell you, I had gotten attached to those bees, even though I wasn't the one caring for them. But basically, we think 1 or 2 things happened. And so the bees were doing fine. They were filling out the comb in the first deep box. And it looked like most of the frames were covered. And so my husband went and put a second deep on top of the first deep box, which is what you're supposed to do, so they can build out that as well. But when that happened, we think that we lost the queen. Either that's what happened, because after that, after a couple of weeks, that's when things started to kind of go downhill. The other thing that we think could have possibly happened is that they got some kind of disease or something. I don't remember the exact name of what my husband called it, but there was some kind of disease or something that he saw forming kind of in the frame. So we kept trying to work with it. We did all the things. We called all the experts. But eventually he went out there one day and all of the bees were gone. Broke our hearts. But we are not giving up. We are going to try yet again. We've already committed to buying 3 hives in the spring. I wish we would have gotten 2 hives this time, but hey, you live and you learn. It was our very first time. We've heard from many beekeepers that this is what happens, that many people have lost hives, especially when you're new starting out. Now, also in the midst of him putting on that second deep and then us experiencing problems, my husband, right in between that time, he took a bee certification class that was already planned. It just happened to be during that time. And so he actually went for 2 days to learn how to keep bees, and he feels way more confident and has way more knowledge. Now literally, he does have book knowledge. Again, we still have to put our hands to the plow and learn as we go. But he did go and get a certification, which I'm very, very excited about. I was almost getting up my nerve to buy me a bee suit. But you know what? Maybe, just maybe in the spring, I'll get up my nerve again. But we have already committed to at least get 3 hives in the spring. Now, in terms of an investment, I mean, we feel like, we lost in terms of money because we don't have bees and we won't have honey. But you can never beat a learning experience. Our hives, the nuke that we bought of the colony was $200. And so again, hey, that's just what happens. And so I want to just say that thank you guys so much for the ones who've been asking about the bees. I've been meaning to give you an update and I just keep forgetting, but we probably found this out probably about a month or so ago. And so keep us in prayer that hopefully the next 3 hives will do great and we will learn between now and then. We already have a brand new hive that my husband has put together that came in that we were going to be installing in some upcoming bee content before the bees left. And so we have that new hive that's going to be going up. And then we've also been contacted by Primal Bee, who is going to be giving us a hive for the spring. Okay, guys, we got 90% done. The only thing I have left is the caribou russet, and it is hot, so I'm going to come back and do that later, hopefully if it's not raining and the sun kind of goes back, because my camera is about to overheat again. But I feel good about what we accomplished today. We were able to do 4 varieties, 2 that are tried and true, 2 that are experimental. We also tried something new with putting them in the GreenStalks, and then also a new space in my backyard in a raised bed. So the rest of these will go in probably this lilac GreenStalk and or the snow is what we'll do for there, and we'll see kind of what happens. Okay, so I feel good about how far we got. We were able to get quite a bit accomplished despite weather challenges, despite the heat, despite 2 bouts of rain, despite all of that. And we're about 90% done. So that is good. And I'll come back out here if it doesn't rain, hopefully in a couple of hours when the sun has kind of died down and it's not so directly hot. I apologize if the lighting and stuff is not good. The sun is like sitting literally on top of us when it's not raining, but we are not complaining. We are not complaining. Let me know in the comments if you've done any of the varieties that I've tried today, the red port, the Yukon Gold, the caribou russet, or the huckleberry gold. I'm really interested on the huckleberry gold. Let me know if you like that one. Let me know if you're going to do a round of fall potatoes. Meet me in the comments. I cannot wait to hear from you. And go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you can see if our little experiments are going to work. If we're going to have a harvest right before the frost, or we're going to harvest our sweet potatoes and a whole nother round of regular potatoes. Meet me in the comments, but also hit that subscribe button so that you can stick around and you'll be a part of the big reveal somewhere around October. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope that you're having an amazing day whenever you see this. Remember, y'all, gardening is a journey, but let's do it together. I'll see you next time, friend.
Thanks so much for stopping by our channel. And if you would, take a moment and go to our website at livingfoodsfarm.com. You can see all of the latest YouTube videos in case you missed one. You can subscribe to the channel, sign up for our email list, as well as join our YouTube membership. Also, we have many items for sale under the shop tab. You can go to kitchen or to skin and body, depending on what you're looking for. We source many of the items right here from things that we grow on the farm, or we buy from an organic source. We also have digital resources as well that you can instantly download. We have everything from seed starting calculators, how to build healthy soil, as well as 2-hour classes, replays on sourdough, canning, and fall gardening, and how to start your garden for the very first time. So go take a look, see if there's anything that you would be interested in, and thank you so much again for stopping by our channel.